Hello and welcome to another video of the Colour of Sound Institute. In this video we're going to be explaining how to play the tuning forks. Now, to start off with, I'd like to explain the different parts of the tuning forks and then move into talking about the different types of forks themselves and then how we can then play them in different ways or work with them in different ways. So the key aspects of the tuning forks are that, of course they're in this U-shaped, and so what we have is our various parts. So we have the top, we have what are called the tines, which are these bits here, or the prongs, and then at the bottom where the forks join, that's the yoke, and then we have the stem at the bottom, and then right at the bottom, at the end of the stem, is the tip. And so generally when we play the forks, or once they've been sounded, by tapping them either on your knee like this, or with some sort of striker, or it could be a puck, a rubber puck that you could use. You once it's been struck like that, you can then either move it over the body or close to the ears, and we'll go into this in more detail in a minute, or you could place the fork on the body. And of course when you place it on the body, you place it with the tip. Now, what's important to know about the tuning forks are that they vibrate in different ways. So these tines vibrate horizontally like this, and the stem part vibrates up and down like that vertically. So that's why when it comes to placing it on the body, is that we place it with a tip like that. So we're getting the vertical up and down vibrations from the tuning fork going down into the body. But what's also really amazing about the design of these forks is that when you hold the stem after it's been sounded, is that it doesn't actually interfere with the vibration of the forks too much. So that's the way to hold it. Now when you hold the forks, you want to hold it ideally with your thumb and one finger, or possibly two fingers for extra stability, particularly with the slightly larger forks. And but you want to do it with quite a loose wrist, quite loose fingers, but firm enough. And then when you strike it, say on your knee, or the muscle on your knee, then, and in all places, you generally want to be striking it about a third of the way down. So not really right on the tip, or too far down here, but about a third of the way down. Okay, so just like that. Okay, I quite like using my knees because it's very flexible. I can walk around and I can do things in different ways, and that's my preferred way of playing. But other people find that it's a bit sore on their muscles or on their joint, and so they prefer to use a striker. Either way is fine. Okay, and tuning forks usually come with some sort of striker, or you might need to buy it depending on your supplier. So there are essentially two different, they're made out of two different types of material, metals generally. And so you've got the aluminium tuning forks, and you've got stainless steel tuning forks. Now, the stainless steel ones are favoured by Fabien Maman, and he uses them primarily on the body and putting the tip on the body, and he uses them very much in conjunction with the acupuncture points, and that ties in with the whole theories of Chinese medicine to do with 5-element theories and the meridian structures. Now, we're not going to really cover that part of working with tuning forks in this course, because we have a module in the master's course all about sonopuncture or sonic acupuncture, sonic acupressure. And so we're going to cover that in much more detail in the other course. We're going to focus more on this course on the more fundamental use of the tuning forks, the basics really, of how to use them primarily on and off the body using the aluminium forks, and also tying them in particularly with our understanding of the chakras, which we've already covered in other modules on this professional training course. Okay, so what we've got with the aluminium forks we have what are called unweighted and weighted forks. And these weighted forks come at different frequencies. So this is the largest one at a 32 Hertz. This is the medium one at 64 Hertz. And then we have the smaller weighted one at 128 Hertz. And they're all used slightly differently. And but essentially, the point about the weighted forks is that these are the ones that we use on the body primarily, and with the aluminium unweighted forks, these are the ones that we use off the body. And so we'll go into the details of how to use all these different forks a bit later in the video. So, but for now, when it comes to thinking about working on the body, then, and particularly with the 64 Hertz one, which is the one that's used primarily on the sacral bone, the sacral bone acts as essentially as a sounding board for which then amplifies the vibrations created by the forks throughout the whole body. And so what I wanted to demonstrate actually was how when we strike the fork, whether it's a weighted or an unweighted one, initially, and we hold it in the air, we don't often hear it so loudly, and we have to place it quite close to the ears of ourselves or our clients in order to hear it. But as soon as you put it on a surface like a table, then the sound is amplified, because the table acts as a sounding board, the surface acts as a sounding board. And it's the same principle when it comes to working with tuning forks on the body, is that the bones in particular act as, and particularly the sacral bone, acts as the sounding board. Actually, the sternum down here as well also acts as a really good sounding board, and we can place them there like that too. So anyway, just demonstrate it on the table now. So if we just sound it like that, we can find that there really isn't much. There's a little bit of sound, but not a huge amount. If we put it on the table, it becomes much more obvious. That's off and on. Okay, so that demonstrates how the surface acts as the sounding board with these vertical up and down vibrations happening there. Okay, so now ideally, as a practitioner, you want to have a set of 8 forks like this, or more, ideally. So ideally, the setup is that you've got a set of these 8 harmonic forks, which are tuned to the Pythagoras scale, and ideally you want to have this set of 3 weighted forks. And doing that, it means that you've got the ability to work with all the ratios that we've outlined in the ebook. So to find out more about get an understanding of the ratios, then have a look at the ebooks and also some of the reference material that's in there. Okay, so what we have here is a set of 8 forks, starting with the C tuned at 256 and going up to a higher C at 512. And with all the other notes in between. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. So that gives us the whole octave. And within that, we've got the ability to work with all the different intervals within that octave, which we've described in the ebooks. So typically, when you're working with the intervals, you would start with holding one of the C's, usually the lower fundamental C at C256. And then to get, say, the harmonic with the perfect fifth, you take the G and sound the 2 together and place them on either side of your head, usually about 3 to 6 inches away from the ears. And that creates this lovely harmonizing, balancing of the whole physical and energetic body. And typically what we do is start off with them on one side, like that, and then swap them over, strike them again, and bring them up. So that's what we do for ourselves or for our clients. So that's working with the interval of the fifth, with the C and the G, and of course you can also do it with the D and the A as well. You've got that ability to work with that slightly higher frequency range, and of course you can also do it with the E and the B as well, and then all the other ratios as well, so you can work with the C and the D. Now generally when it comes to working with these ratios, we use the C and the two that are closest together, and it could be any combination, but let's say we work with the C and the D, is that these are used to create a sense of real dissonance, and that dissipates stuck energy that is rather excess in certain places, whether it's in the chakra or parts of the body. And so we'd typically use that ratio of a second in order to do that. And then if we want to harmonize and expand something like a chakra, then we'd use the ratio of the fifth, so the C and the G in this instance. Okay, so that's a little pointer there.